All right. So it should work. Let's get started. Oh, as she has already introduced, I'm Precious Kolawole, and I do machine learning majorly. And I tell people I have a strong focus in the intersection of artificial intelligence and healthcare. Well, so today we are majorly talking about demystifying data science. We like to talk about data science itself, like IBK Bukolua, as she explained earlier. A lot of people find it difficult to navigate. Some people they queue along the line and all of those things. So that's majorly what we're going to talk about today. How you can navigate it also as a beginner. And okay, I'll add more stuff later when we start checking out the slides. So right now, okay, full screen mode. Sorry. Oh, awesome. So let's get started. Majorly, from the slides now, we can see that different companies in the world, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, everybody wants to get on this data bandwagon. And, companies, they are often confused about, let's say, the type of data professionals they should have on board that will cater for the exact data requirements of their company. And even data professionals are now also confused about like the proper set of skills they require to meet the expectation of the industry at different levels. And beginners find it very difficult, very hard to get a general understanding of the different job roles, and it even gets harder when you are looking to figure out what job role could best fit your personal and professional ambitions as a beginner. Now, this presentation is going to address a lot of things, the definition of data science and ability to understand problems that can be solved using data science, or also how you can get a broad familiarity with the concept and tools used in the data field, and also how you can stand out as a data scientist, how you can avoid common mistakes made by people while learning data science, and also just a quick roadmap to learning data science and how to be successful in the competitive data world. All right, so that's pretty much everything I'll be taking us through today. So let's proceed. This is many people get to ask me when I meet them, and they be like, what do you do? I can say, okay, I'm a data scientist, I'm a machine learning engineer. And they be like, who is a data scientist? What do they do? Well, I most times, well, this is a definition from Josh Wills, which says data scientist is a person who is better at statistics than any software engineer. And the person is also better at software engineering than any statistician. Cool, right? And the definition is kind of correct if you are very familiar, if you're already familiar with data science. We are not software engineers and we are not statisticians. But if I want to explain data science, which is the second definition below, I'll say a data scientist is a unicorn that bridges math, analysis, algorithms, designs, engineering chops, and communication with management skills. That's pretty much what data scientists do. So now let's break all of these things down. They look vague, right? So let's break it down. Next slide. Okay, so this is pretty much everything you need to know to navigate this step. In the industry, we have a lot of things. You, as a data scientist, you have your own role to play. And then the companies too, they have their own role to play for everything to like for the goals of the companies to be achieved. So we have all of these things you need to be acquainted with. And then the first one is let's look at this. I don't know if it's very, very clear. I had to do it with like my hand, and it's not like something like I was able to get online. I had to do it on myself. So it's kind of sketchy and all of those. I shall hope you'll be able to see it well. Now let's start from the bottom, which is strategy, data management, value and understanding, model and predictive analysis. Then we move descending, right? No, I don't even know. We shall go up from the bottom. All right. So the first thing I'll talk about here is strategy. Data has actually become the determining factor in driving innovation and revenue in companies, organizations, and the firms that collect, manage, analyze, and understand their data assets with leads in their respective sectors. So, like the examples I mentioned earlier, Google, Facebook, and all of those things, these firms I mentioned just now, they've been able to harness their data to build and deliver revolutionary services that have changed the way we live our lives. Yeah, and that's very true. So, the first thing you have to think about as a data scientist is strategy, how you can be useful in the industry, right? So, now let's talk about data management. Data management is the part where you try to work on the data provided to you by the organizations. And then we have data in different formats, not data in different formats. And then you as a data scientist, you're expected to be acquainted with the skills to work on those data, right? So now I'll just be very, very brief because of my time. I have a lot of things to cover. Now we talk about value and understanding. Before you can solve organizations' problems, before you can work to fit this strategy that is the goal of organizations, you must be able to understand their data, right? So that's the part of value and understanding. Your ability to look deep into that data and be able to bring something out of it. Okay, so the next one is model and predictive analysis. After understanding the data, what are your expectations? What are you expected to bring out of it? And that's where predictive analysis comes in. You are expected to predict something from it, right? Most times that's what data scientists do. So, right, let's now look at the next row, showing governance, identity, store, provision, and process. I had to group governance under strategy, identity and store under data management, provision under value and understanding, then uh process is being covered by model and predictive analysis. Now I will just be brief. Governance is also where you own your data and you work towards bringing something out of it. That's like you govern the data available in your company. You know how to manage them, how to process them, and how to get the useful things from them. That's like governance. You are the owner, right? So now we have identity. You have to identify your data, the format, the way they are stored. I'll just speak those two together: identity and store. Everything is still under data management, right? You manage, you identify the kind of data you have, you store them, you create pipelines, you create continuous integration, continuous deployment for your data, right? And majorly, we have different career fields in data, and people say this is majorly work of data engineers, but I'm not going to argue about that. So right now, we're talking about provision, which is under value and understanding. After understanding your data, you have to provide something. Like you must be able to provide a tool that will work towards you understanding that particular data. And then we have process. You process the data to predict something out of it. Let's be first. Now, under governance, we have knowledge graph analysis, social networking analysis, dashboarding tools, integrated AI and ML, and then domain expertise. For you to be able to govern a data perfectly well, you must be an expert in that particular data. You can be, data scientists are problem solvers majorly, and then you are expected to have the domain expertise to solve a particular problem. Even if you don't have, you are expected to have somebody on board who understands the domain problem, like in the healthcare, in the finance sector, and all of those things. That's majorly governance. And then you can govern your data by integrating artificial intelligence and machine learning in your data pipeline, in the way in the flow of your data. It's still part of governance and strategy. Now we have dashboarding tools, and I want us to look at this thing listed below under each of the headers, like business understanding. For you to understand your business and for you to govern it properly, you must be able to use some dashboarding tools to convey your message to stakeholders, convey your message, your insight to clients, right? So those are actually like part of business understanding: domain expertise, integrated AI and ML, and dashboarding tools. Social networking analysis, that is you trying to scrape things online like Twitter, like Reddit, like GitHub, trying to analyze sentiment and most of those things is still part of it's still part of business understanding. Now let's go to extraction, which can also be related to identity. Under data extraction, we have data in different formats. Majorly we use SQL in querying or relational database, and then databases, and then we have MongoDB for non-relational databases. So as a data person, if you are trying to seek the identity of your data, you must be able to work with all of these things, not if not all, most of these things under data extraction. We have Bigtable, that is how to work with big data majorly, and then web scraping. At times when you're trying to collect your data, it can be through web or forms online, a lot of ways of getting data, and then the knowledge of web scraping with either Beautiful Soup, Twitter plugins, and all of those things will definitely help you. Now let's go to data cleaning, which can also, I actually set it on the store because I made some other things under it. Now we have normalization, which is like you trying to normalize your data, trying to remove imbalance from your data. All right. So that's part of data cleaning. Data integration also is just majorly you trying to pre-process your data into something that can be used for further analysis. That's majorly data cleaning. And on the store, and still talking about big data, we have Spark, Hadoop, and Cloud. It's not something that you must know if you're not trying to dive into the big data stuff, but it's necessary for you to understand that there's something like Spark, Hadoop, and Cloud. You can make your research after the call if you're interested in big data. Now let's go to data exploitation. If you're trying to exploit your data, there are several insights, several ways of getting, or several ways of manipulating your data to achieve your goals. We have data that can be used for time series analysis. That is, if you are trying to predict, let's say, the price of stock market for a range of time. Yes, time series. So we have probability theory, trying to prove between two variables, probability of one leading to the other. Those are just like common, I mentioned at the beginning of this topic that you will get to learn some concepts and terminologies, right? So that is where we are particularly. So right now we have sampling also. Sampling, okay, it's just like you have two variables. Majorly, sampling is also under probability and statistics. You sample your data and then you see which one is going to lead to higher occurrence than the other. And then we have spatial statistics, architectural design in such a way that if you are trying to, let's say, build, data scientists collaborate with other engineers, right, in firms, and then you are expected to like build an architecture for the flow of your data from the major cleaning stage to the like end-to-end pre-processing of your data and getting the result. So architectural design is also necessary. Now let's go to feature engineering. For you to feature engineering is just like you trying to like perform some mathematical operation in your data to achieve one result. That is, you can try to apply mean, apply median to form another column in your data. Those are just ways of trying to understand more. We are under value and understanding, trying to understand more, like get important information from your data. And then we have ANOVA, analysis of variance. I'll be able to like dive into much details, but you can definitely take a look at this slide and look at the ones you know already and the ones you are the ones you don't know yet. Then you can try and brush up the skills. All right. I think this is kind of related to those that are like intermediates in the data science field, but trust me, beginners package is coming. Now we have regression also, you trying to predict prices of things. And then we have classification too, which can be like predicting two different variables, like binary classification, two different things. If like you can try to predict if somebody is going to default their loans or pay back their loans. Those are like binary classification. And then regression, you're trying to predict prices of houses housing in a particular environment. And then we have feature extraction and all of those and the rest. Now let's go to predictive modeling. When it comes to predictive modeling, that is where the work of a data scientist, the main work you as a data scientist is doing, where the main work we get to show to people. And that's where you start to apply all of these modeling techniques, and we make use of algorithms. I can say it's data scientists, we are kind of lazy because we used already made tools or already made modules in processing our stuff, which is perfectly fine. And then we spend more time on training. So let me go to supervised machine learning, supervised learning. That is, you have your data already, and then they are kind of linked with the target variables. I love using real life scenarios when I'm explaining my things. Maybe like you are trying to predict dog or cat and dog. You are trying to train a model that will predict, that will differentiate a cat from a dog. If you are doing supervised learning, you must have a label tagged to each of those images. That is, this image is for a cat, this image is for a dog. Cool. I just hope you understand the brief explanation. I have a very limited time. Oh my god. Now we have unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning is kind of like you don't have the labels and you are trying to make your model to create clusters to be able to merge two things together and like to make meaningful insights from the data without you providing, okay, this is cat. You have to know that this is cat. You have to know that this is dog. You're not doing that in unsupervised learning. Now we have deep learning. This is kind of like the most ambiguous part, or where you have to work with videos, you have to work with images, you have to work with which other thing? A lot of them. Now we have natural language processing when you're trying to work with raw tests or test data to predict, let's say, sentiment and all of those things. You can definitely make your research. I'm sorry about that. Now we have image pattern recognition. Image pattern recognition is also part of deep learning, but I just had to categorize it separately because people focus on that most times. And the aspect of predicting cat and dog, it's also image pattern recognition. Because the cat is, you are providing your model with cat images and dog images. All right, I don't know if I've been able to make justice to this part, but I'll definitely accommodate questions at the end of the talk. Now, how to navigate your data science journey, the main deal. Oh, these are like a roadmap, a mini roadmap I made. We have a lot of things attached, but if you know this, then at least you'll be a professional data scientist, like let me say a data wizard, which is like something I love to use. Now we have the steps right now, fundamental of JS or statistics or programming knowledge, data manipulation and analysis, data visualization, machine learning, deep learning, big data, software engineering. And then we have some soft skills: communication, storytelling, structured thinking, and curiosity. You know, at the beginning of the talk, I said, when I made my own definition of who is a data scientist, you saw that I added communication and management skills, right? So we get to talk about them here. I don't know if I have, or if anybody is trying to say anything to me. Can I continue? Hello, are we together?
Yes, please, you can. We
Awesome,
are with you.
awesome, awesome.
But you've
All
stopped
right.
sharing your screen though. We are
Yes,
with you.
I did that intentionally. All right. So now this is the part where we talk about the fundamentals of data science. You know, it's actually funny when many people just, most newcomers in data science, they do what everyone is doing. That is, they go straight into learning the machine learning techniques like linear regression, support vector machine, blah, 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 without learning the fundamentals. And those are like the simple things that will help you in like becoming successful, really. All right. And I believe it's all the fault of the generic build your machine learning model in 5 lines of code. We almost have been saying things like that online. Different articles, build your machine learning models in 5 lines of code. Even me personally, I wrote something like that. Not even 5, but 3 lines of code. So it's just like that. And those things are actually confusing. They are actually confusing. And funniest thing, they are miles away from reality. If you want to learn data science, you must learn the fundamental. And talking about the fundamental, what do I mean? You have to understand the difference between, let's say, machine learning and deep learning. You have to understand what is data science, what is data analysis, what is business analytics, what is data engineering. You need to understand the common tools and technology, like I mentioned earlier, the one that I explained earlier. You need to understand the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning. I explained that one briefly, my bad. And then you need to also understand the difference between classification and regression problems. All right. And then I believe with all this, you should be good to go. Before you dive into learning data analysis and all of those things, I expect everybody to, like, if you're a beginner, you should take a course on what is data science. Like I saw one on 365 data science. It's like an online page. I won't go into much details. I have a roadmap. If you are interested, I will definitely share at the end of this call. Now let's move forward. Statistics and probability. I think I mentioned in the tools and terminologies, I mentioned different statistical concepts. And many people find it very difficult to understand statistics. As we can see on this slide, like the GIF, the person is frustrated, and you can see the statistics notebook. That's just the norm. I don't think there's anybody here who can boldly say, "Oh, I so much love statistics." Well, we have some geniuses among us, and that's definitely not me. All right. So, machine learning starts out as statistics and then advances. Even the concept of all those algorithms, they are like age-old statistical analysis concept. Interesting, right? And then under this part, we have descriptive or inferential. I mentioned mean, media, all those jargons earlier. You definitely need to understand them. Population, skewness, hypothesis testing, you need to understand them well. And some people will be like, I don't like maths. How do you expect me to learn these things? Well, it's not like the maths you learn in school. Let me put it that way. It's not like the maths you learn in school. You learn let me put it this way. You learn the theoretical aspect of it and then you write them out in code. It's a lot more easier. But then if you don't dive into it, you won't know how complex it is. So I just urge, like, I'm trying to urge you to definitely step your foot into it before judging if statistics is actually for you or not. Now let's proceed. Programming knowledge. You need to understand programming knowledge before you can become a data scientist. And then we have 3 different programming knowledge for our programming languages for data scientists. Some people go for Python, some people go for R, and some people go for Julia. Well, I'll try to differentiate them. Python, the way it is, it's a multi-purpose programming language. It allows you to go even far beyond data science. You can become a software engineer with just like the understanding of data science, because understanding of Python, because many other languages are built on Python, right? So it's very flexible, multi-purpose. And then R, when it comes to R, it's like the best day where you just want to focus on analysis, plot, visualization. And then we have R serving as like the middleman. It has the combination of both Python and Julia, right? Interesting. But if I want to recommend for you, I would definitely tell you to go for Python, right? I don't know, that's just my choice. You can make your research after. Now let's go into data manipulation and data analysis. Let's say, for example, you are trying to pack your stuff, you are traveling, and then you are trying to pack your luggage, and then you pack all your clothes, you squeeze them because you just want to do quick. You squeeze everything up on top of the other, and then you pack your luggage and go. Your clothes, when you check it out, rather they will spoil or get rumbled or not, like they won't look interesting. But what's going to happen if you take your time, iron them, stack them, spread them, and place them correctly in your bags? The difference is going to be very clear, and you look shiny and bright when you put the clothes on. So that's majorly data manipulation. It takes time, but it's definitely worth the time. It's majorly I mentioned some data. What did I call it? I called it data cleaning in the first slide where I mentioned the concept. It's just data cleaning, data manipulation, data preprocessing. We are saying the same thing. All right. So right now it's just, and for you to, for you to do data manipulation perfectly, you must know some stuff like Excel, SQL, and Pandas. Pandas is very, very necessary. Yeah, it takes time in cleaning your data, but it's definitely worth it. So you can learn SQL, you can learn Excel, you can learn Pandas for data manipulation. We have a lot of them, but just start with those ones. Now let's go to data visualization. This is like the most fun part of machine learning, because a data visualization expert knows how to build story from visualization, and the story is the best part of things. You telling somebody, hey, if you go out tomorrow, it's going to rain. If you do this thing tomorrow, it's not going to work. It's interesting, 100%. And then for you to be able to visualize your data correctly, you must be familiar with histogram, bar chart, pie chart, and then and those ones can be done with Matplotlib and Seaborn. Matplotlib are like built on Pandas. You use them alongside with Pandas, and then there are some other softwares too for visualization, like Power BI, Tableau, Plotly, and many others. I can't remember right now. All right. So just try and get familiar with those ones and you'll be good. So let's go to machine learning. All right. This is the skills that gives inner satisfaction. You can see Madam Zaza, the fortune teller, and then, this thing is hiding. Okay, the person is saying, why the change? Well, I could see where the future was going. This Madam Zaza talking after making our predictive analysis. That's the most fun part of it. And then this is the part where we observe patterns, learn from those patterns, and we use what and the model uses what it learns to make predictions. All right, I will try and break it down. If you want to learn machine learning, this is where we start going into linear regression, logistic regression, and then the advanced assemble models like XGBoost, CatBoost. A research after this call is going to help more. All right. So an example is, I mentioned an example earlier. If you are trying to predict if somebody is going to pay back loans or not, if somebody is going to die of cancer in 10 years or not, we have machine learning and it's very capable of doing that. So we have deep learning. If you are the type who is fascinated about object detection, computer vision, you like smart computers, you like robots, you like robotics, I don't want to match them together, but something in that line. You like self-driving cars, then deep learning is something you should check out. And then 80% of deep learning is computer vision, like at this present age. And then we have 50% like NLP and 30% like object detection, like the kind of evolutionary advancement. All right. Okay, so now let's go to big data. Big data is like, this part is where I think the problem is due to the rise in internet and social media networks, and there have been like boom in the rate of data generated. They are high in velocity, they are high in veracity and veracity. All right. So this is why big data is necessary. Some companies, they work with big data and they have to use like some other tools in properly managing these things. All right. So I mentioned Spark, I mentioned Apache, I mentioned Hadoop, right? Previously, if you are following. So that's where big data comes in. All right. So we have model deployment, and I would definitely say this is the most underrated, like the most underrated step in machine learning. I've actually rated with many data scientists out there, and you just see them having the model running on their laptop. And I'll be like, if a client, or if somebody gives you a work to do, are you going to give your laptop to the person and be like, hey, I don't run and finish you? Come and run my notebook from the beginning to the end and see how your work is how your model is performing. No, it's definitely not going to work that way. That's why we have model deployment. And for you to learn model deployment, for TensorFlow, you should be familiar with, for deep learning, you should be familiar with TensorFlow at least, Keras, and then PyTorch, like at least for you to be good with deep learning. I missed that earlier. Now for model deployment, you should learn some languages that can allow you to host your models as servers, like Flask, like Django, like Fast AI. We have Fast API too. And yep, we have Streamlit as well, so you can definitely check them out. And we have Heroku, some cloud services you can make use of in hosting your stuff. Heroku is free. It allows you to upload like the free version allows you to upload like 5 models, deploy like 5 models. And then if you have subscriptions, you can look into Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud platforms, and also Microsoft Azure, and they have you can apply to get their subscriptions. All right. So model deployment is definitely something everybody who wants to be a professional data scientist should look into. All right. So let's go to the soft skills, and we have communication first. I said good communication is just as stimulating as a black coffee, and it's just as hard to sleep after. If you are with somebody, you go to greet somebody, and both of you are just looking at each other, no one is greeting first. It's going to be awkward, right? So that's how it is when you just have your data without being able to say, okay, this is what my data is specifically. People will just sit and Excel file, they will even delete it. Okay, so being able to communicate effectively as a data scientist is a soft skill you should have. I personally do not like talking, but it's something you can build over time. Really, not some people are natural talkers, and some we just have to like build ourselves. So I believe you can also learn how to communicate effectively. Now, storytelling. I said, imagine watching a cricket match start and you've shown with runs or the runs scored on each ball in the form of a table. Do you think you understand better? No, the answer is definitely no. But let's say you have them in pie charts, fine colors, bubble charts. You're like, oh, this is male, this is female, 70%, 30%. That's the part of storytelling. Now, curiosity. As a data scientist, you are expected to be curious. Like, we are problem solvers. We don't have a specific role. We don't have a specific job. We are just meant to solve problems. And if you are not curious, how are you going to find one to solve? It's definitely not possible. So you have to be very curious, be able to notice little things in your environment that needs the touch of data science. All right. So structured thinking, let's say you want to apply for a job now. The first part is prepare your resume, have somebody resume, I don't know, have somebody review it for you, and after the review, submit it to the appropriate authority or something. That's structured thinking. If you don't submit your resume, you won't get a job, right? So you have to like be able to think step by step when you're trying to solve data science problems. Be able to think from the ground state to the last level. Let me just put it in that simpler form. Now, how to stand out as a data scientist? Well, I said tell your story. Seriously, tell your story. And then if you want to stand out, all these things cannot be emphasized enough. GitHub, Kaggle, starting a project and having a portfolio website. Oh, about GitHub, I don't know how you plan to showcase yourself if you don't have anything on your GitHub to show recruiters. They definitely need to see something on your portfolio aside from your resume, which is just like plain text. They need to see it in code. So your GitHub works here. You need to populate your GitHub as you are working on something. Push it there, let people know. And then we have Kaggle. Kaggle is a platform. I believe everyone is familiar with Kaggle. We have Nigerians here. Kaggle, the way it is, it allows different developers, different data scientists to come together, and then we have different competitions. I don't believe there's a problem you are trying to solve. Hardly will you have a problem to solve that you won't get the data on Kaggle. Hardly. And though there are some rare occasions, I said hardly, so that justifies it. So Kaggle is a very good platform everybody should utilize. And then starting a project. Hey, you need to start a project. Some people, they can take several courses, they have several certificates, but not a single project, and it's wrong. So you need to have projects, because completing a project is 100 times more valuable than an online certificate. So have a project doing and push it out there. Let people know what you do. Let people see the project. And if you're still just starting out and you don't have all this, or you don't even have the model deployment knowledge, right? You can start writing articles, and then when you write your articles, you push it out. People read your article, finish, they go back to your code, you attach the link to your code there, and that's how people get to know, oh, this person is a data scientist and this person is doing something. Start a project, please. And then building a portfolio website. We have many data scientists in this part of the world, and Nigerians. I won't say the tech sector is saturated, but it's not. It will never be saturated. But we have many data scientists, and everybody wants to get to the top, right? But you need to have ways of standing out, and then I believe your portfolio website will do the justice. Your portfolio website is just not your resume alone. It shows like the visual representation of everything about you, and it's pretty interesting. And then without you having to submit your resume, having to submit your GitHub link and all of those things, you can have them populated on your website, and the website link gets sent to any recruiter, and it's even a sign of seriousness. Sorry. All right. So portfolio website, I will encourage everybody, if you're trying to be at the top, just try and get a portfolio website. All right. And avoiding common mistake people make while learning data science. I'll try and be fast. Oh my God, I've spent too much time. I'm very sorry, guys. So right now, avoiding common mistakes people make while learning data science. People assume what they see in ML competitions is what real life jobs are. That's wrong. Real life jobs, they are much more technical than what we see in hackathons, like Kaggle hackathons, Zindi hackathons. They are different. On Kaggle, on Zindi, your data has been pre-processed. You have them in CSV format. But when you're working with organizations, you have to deep right into their code base and get the necessary data you need. And by the time you get them, they are 100% unclean, like 100% rough and dirty. So you have to know, you need to structure it in a way you'll be able to derive your insight. And then it's 100% different from what ML competitions introduce. Now, want to be a data scientist, don't start with ML. I said it earlier. Just follow the steps I've given you, like I've been able to share with us here. Don't start with ML, please. Start with the basics, Python, the way I've mentioned them. Now, using too many data science terms, some people, they've had several interviews, and they'll be like, oh, I shit on myself. I didn't pass the interview. I didn't do these things correctly. But if I get to ask them questions, I realized, oh, most of them, they get to talk about too many data science terms. But at times the recruiters, they are not technical, like they are not technical enough in the aspect of data science. So you have to break things down. For them. Okay, if I just tell you, Okay, I built. I can't come up with an example right now, but if I remember, I'll definitely bring us back to it. So, using too many data science terms, you can't just say, okay, I built a model using random forest classifier, and the random forest classifier was passed with stratified k-fold. The stratified k-fold did this, blah blah blah. No, that's not what the recruiters need to hear. You have to be able to communicate in their language without using too many data science terms. Now, preparing only theoretical without applying them. Many people, they know everything about random forest. They know everything about linear regression, the mathematics part. They can solve the equation, arrive at y equals ms plus. I can't remember the equation, ms plus c. They can derive those equations for you. But when it comes to the practical aspect of things, building these models and all of those things, they find it difficult. So try and avoid all of these mistakes. And I don't know, I'm ready to accommodate questions now. Yeah. And okay, I would like to add to this thing. Sorry, I think I actually there's a slide which is hidden, and I just remembered. Data science, data analytics, data or engineers, or data architect, machine learning engineers, MLOps engineers. Those are like the fields in data science you can transition to, because not all data people are data scientists, right? So you can try and look into all of these fields. And if you want me to explain the difference between one and the other, which one is data analysis, which one is data analyst, who is a data scientist, who is a machine learning engineer, I can definitely ask them if anybody is curious about it during the Q&A session. Thank you very much for listening to the talk. I'm Precious Kolawole, on Twitter as Presilio and on LinkedIn as Kolawole Precious. Thank you very much for this opportunity, guys. All right.
Thank you so much, Precious. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I'm sure we all learned a lot. I'm sure we all learned a lot. If you have questions, please write them down. Let's see. I know while we sent out those the link to these events, we saw. I mean, there was a space for questions that you write your questions, your expectations. I have some questions already, but if you have questions that you want to ask now, please send them here so we can. I mean, have Precious acts answer all of them. You don't want to go back. I mean, you don't want to leave this meeting with those questions on your heart. You want them to be answered so that you can have a clearer perspective as regards data science and the data field in general. So I will read some of the questions I have here already. Yeah, I will read some of them. Okay, so let me start from here. The person says, how do I find my niche in data? How do I find my niche and build a brand in data? How do I find it? I'm assuming this person probably is already starting out in data and probably has maybe has looked at data science or the data space holistically and just needs advice on how to find his or her niche and then build a brand around it, since that's what we're talking about. So Precious, can you help answer that?
Okay. All right. When I at the start of this talk, I said data science is majorly you solving problems, right? And that's how you can find a niche. Majorly, many people would tell you, I studied finance in school and I want to become a financial analyst, or I don't know what those terminologies really. Now, those are like ways of building a niche for yourself. I'm personally a medical student, and I tell people, okay, I want to build a gap, machine learning and AI and healthcare, AI and healthcare. And almost everybody, when they see me out there, they'll be like, oh, this is the healthcare guy. This is the machine learning. I'll be bridging the gap guy. Most people use she's trying to bridge the gap and all of those words. So that's like ways of creating a niche for yourself. And if you're trying to create a brand, a lot of things have to be put in place for you by you. A lot of commitment, really. And at the start of things, if you want to build a brand, it starts with you having things specifically for yourself, like things that are unique to you. Your own data science thing, you are trying to like implement it in your own area. And then the best way is to be visible online, really, just be visible online. Those things, that particular niche, I don't know if the person that asks this question has already figured out a niche and the person is trying to build a brand from that, like having, like, some people are just trying to figure out what they can do with data science, but somebody, they know what they want already. So I don't know if the person has already figured that out and the person is trying to build a brand. If you've already figured out what you want to do specifically in data science, okay, like myself, I want to bridge the gap between AI and healthcare. The next thing is creating a brand for myself. And there are several ways of doing this. And the first thing is have a logo, a logo which is unique to you particularly. That is, when people see it, they get to know, oh, this is this person. And you must be able to win people. Let me break it down very well. Your portfolio website works in this sense. Your portfolio website is just like you creating a brand for yourself. And that logo you've created is expected to be on your website. That's like the first step in creating a brand for yourself. But let's now say you don't have a niche yet. I would say you need to like always try. And when I mean by what I mean by trying is, if you are trying to find a niche, I don't know, many people will be like they have to try out several things before figuring out the one they like. Some people are like that, but some people, they just see the interest, they just catch the vibe, and they start following the path, and one way or the other, the thing will just turn out as where they want to be. And some people, it will just come as a chance, as an opportunity, and then they just grab it, and then it becomes part of them. You understand that kind of thing? So particularly, you need to go into a lot of self-discovery steps. And that's by trying out several projects if you don't know where you want to be particularly. And another way is by looking into your domain. If what you are studying, I've mentioned that earlier, look into your domain, what you studied in school, and then yeah, just try and discover yourself. Nobody can do it for you. Discover yourself. And after finding that niche, okay, I don't want to do healthcare, I don't want to do finance, I want to major in agriculture, the agriculture sector, fine. I want to major in robotics, fine. I want to just, there are cool stuff really in data science. And if you want to be known as the cloud guy, the person who is like cloud savvy, you have to like put in the effort and the time, really. So if you've discovered yourself, then build your brand, have a portfolio website, put yourself out there. You can open a channel, YouTube. There are ways of building brands, really. I hope I've been able to answer the question.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. So, the response to that is to, I mean, to break it down, to just summarize what Precious said. She said that to do that, you have to try out a whole lot of things, try out different projects in different domains, in different industries, different domains, finance, health, tech, cloud, all of that. Try them out as regards to data, and then you can pick one or two. You can pick one of them. That one or two leads to my next question. Actually, you can pick the one that sits well with you, and then build a brand around that. Okay, and then she said something about self-discovery, and she said how that nobody can self-discover you. I mean, for you can't give the assignment of self-discovery, of your self-discovery, to someone else, right? You have to do that yourself, and it takes a lot of work. Yeah, so I mean, don't beat yourself up if you don't discover yourself in, I mean, for as long as you think. She said that some people, just try out something and then it clicks with them. Some other people have to do different things over and over and over again. Okay, so I hope that helps the person, or that answers the person's question. Hopefully the person is here, and I hope that answers questions in the hearts of, as many that are here. So another question is it okay to have more than one niche? Is it okay to have more than one niche? Precious, is it okay?
You know, a lot of things, the way things work for us is kind of different, right? Some people, they cannot handle two things at a time, and some people, they are very good when it comes to like doing a lot of things. And some people, they will tell you, oh, I'm applying data science in the intersection of, let's say, agriculture and healthcare. I've seen many LinkedIn bios like that, agriculture and healthcare, robotics and something like that. Yes, you can actually major on, like, have two different I wanted you can actually have two, like, focus on two different things at a time. But there are like limitations to this thing. I cannot overemphasize self-discovery. discover yourself and know what you're capable of doing. And well, what am I going to add to that? In the aspect of having two different how did you put the question again? Sorry, please.
The person says, can I have more than one niche? Can I be in more than one niche?
Okay,
Data.
okay,
Data.
okay, okay. So to you can actually focus. Let me just go straight. You can actually have two different places. You can have more than one niche, but discover yourself well. Know what you're capable of doing, and then you must actually, for you to focus on two niche. You have to be you have to be an expert in the two. That's one sad truth. And I definitely believe at one point one will affect the other, but we are kind of more we have more capacity. Like some people have more capacity to do a lot of things. But you can have two different niche, but try and be an expert. Don't just learn one briefly and then dive into the other also briefly. Like learn 50% of this, learn 50% of that, and trying to build a brand on it. But this thing can be like one step at a time, really. We don't we every one of us, we do not know what we are going to do, let's say later in the future. We just see data science as something that, let's say, it catches my interest and I just want to learn more. I want to do this thing. You can actually make it one step at a time. Focus on when first. And okay, personally, I have a mentor who is focused on robotics. And then as she has been working on her robotics stuff, she has been working on robotics for like many years back now, let's say 10 years or so. Now she's now diving into entrepreneur. On her bio, you see she's an entrepreneur and then she's a robotic engineer. That's something very cool. Not that you haven't learned one finish and you're trying to dive into the other. You are just shooting yourself in the leg. Learn one first. If you are very, very comfortable with it and you see you want to explore other spaces, then you are good to go. All right.
All right. So as not to shoot ourselves, on the leg, just learn one. Funny enough, you'll be surprised how that those you think like are experts already, they are still learning in those things that they
Exactly.
they they seem to be they seem to have expertise in. There's just a whole lot. Technology changes. I mean, every time there's precious, you're still sharing your screen. You might want to just turn that off. So
Sorry, sorry.
technology is changing. Technology is in, I mean, there's some tools that become um obsolete, and then we have to learn new tools in that same niche, right? So you might just want to focus on one, and then later on, like she said, like her mentor did, I think that's it in the you just want to you might then go into other things, other domains, other niche. Yeah. So another question from Benjamin, Ayomide Benjamin. I can see one here. Said, please, I just finished IBM data science course on Coursera, and I'm looking for a way to start an internship. Please, what advice do you have for me? What are the things I need to consider and act on? Now, I will just say this because there are a lot of questions that we collected that have to do with internship, landing a job. So apparently, there are a lot of people that maybe have taken one or two courses here and there, maybe done a few projects, and are looking out for internships and jobs. So, as one of our boss, Precious. So, what advice do you have for people like that want internship? How do they improve themselves? How do they put themselves out there? How do they secure those things? Practical steps, things that you
Okay.
did, steps that you took.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you've taken courses, you feel you are good with data science, and then you want to land your first job, right? How do you talk on this? A session, really. All right. If you're trying to land a job after completing courses, then I'll tell you to start a project first. Start a project after taking the course. Like projects, very, very necessary. Have those projects on your resume because if you see ads from companies like vacancy, we don't use vacancy in in tech, but if you see openings in companies, they be like entry level roles, right? Most of them, they'll tell you they need a junior engineer, but just submit your application. Go through the first step. You see the kind of question they give you, like the kind of like I mean the recruitment process, the process of you getting recruited. You see that if you do not have a very packed CV, if you do not have project on your resume, then your chances are very, very limited. So if you've completed a course, please work on projects, work on projects. And then after having project, like some people, they be like, okay, I've done Housing Price, I've done Titanic. Those are not relevant. Titanic is not relevant anymore. Housing Price is not relevant anymore. Almost everybody in data science, almost everybody has done Titanic and Housing Price. Try and work on significant projects, significant ones. And also, do not limit yourself. Any project you work on, always put it out there. My first job, I got it. I didn't have to submit my resume. I think it was after like 6 months when I got the job. That was when I started working on my resume. And I got a job when I wrote an article about a project I did on Medium. The CEO read my article. I built the same project I worked on. I built it for the company, which happened to be the problem. The company, they've been trying to solve the problem for like 2 years back. They even had to hire like people from China, data scientists from China, to work on it for them. Can you imagine? So that kind of thing, the CEO was very interested in the article. He reached out. I solved the problem. I deployed the model, and they were very okay with it. And then I got my first job. So don't limit yourself. Put yourself out there. Write articles. Anything you do, and we get jobs more through referrals, right? When people refer you for jobs, your chances, like you have more leverage compared to the others when somebody is referring you for that job. So try and be out there. And if you're out there, you definitely get referrals. But if nobody knows what you are doing, who is going to refer you for jobs? And LinkedIn, don't just see like jobs on LinkedIn, jobs applications on LinkedIn, and then you start applying straight up, dropping your CV, pam, pam, pam. Most times you won't get they won't get back to you. You won't say anything. I've done it in the past and they didn't yield anything. And I think I've actually asked many people and it kind of looked the same. So when you see a job, you check the description, you see it is something you are capable of doing, and you have done similar projects on your resume, you have things to show for it. The best thing you do is to reach out to a recruiter from that company or somebody who works in that company. Speak with them, like create meaningful relationship, and after that you shoot your shot, and with God you get it. That's how things are done. When you see jobs ads, then you submit. Most times they won't get back to you. So use your social media presence very well. Write articles when you need to, work on projects, have your portfolio website, and reach out. Make sure you get referrals, and you are good to go. That's all.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Precious. That was awesome. I was still trying to like write. Go ahead, guys. I hope you're taking notes. Because I was trying to like write the whole thing so that, I mean, I will still keep some of these jottings for myself, but I'm trying to share with everybody here. She said how that the chances of getting jobs through referral is, I mean, they are higher. I'm gonna. That's the truth. Sincerely, we've tried all the whole applying here and there where you see job openings on LinkedIn, or they tell you, oh, GM and all of that. The chances of knowing the right people to talk to, and then talking to them, not just talking to them, but them seeing that you have the ability to do the things that you say you can do. They've seen you write, they've seen your articles, they've seen your work, they've seen your visualizations, they've seen the things you can do because you talk about it. For someone like Precious, I mean, you get to hear her talk about the things she does, even though she tells us like, oh, I'm tired. She's doing a whole lot behind the scene, right? A number of people, and I mean, that's your best chances, right? She said use your social media presence very well. I know some of us are like introverts. We don't like talking about what we're doing and all of that. Guys, sincerely, you have to learn to talk. If it's about your career, I mean, somebody said nobody knows the silent genius, right? Nobody knows that you're a genius if you're silent. Especially in this age, it's just what it is, right? Nobody knows the silent genius. You have to talk about what you do. Use your social media presence very well. It's not just for posting memes, posting stickers, and all of that. Use it well. It's your career. It's data science that put food on your table, my dears. So please use it very well, right? And she said, the question, the answer to the question, instead of being okay, I think I missed that. Instead of being job focused, work more on building significant projects. And that is the truth, guys. Work on building significant projects. And like you said, it's not just Titanic, Iris data sets, breast cancer data sets. Those things are very good. But build meaningful. If you want to work in the fintechs, or I mean in the um um in finance, data science, that has to do with finance. Build projects along those lines. If you want to do stuff with health, build projects along those lines, right? And then put it out there, and then you have the right people reaching out to you. So, any other questions? Just the last question um before we have before we call it a day, because apparently our second speaker is not available. I've not been able to reach her, and she might not be able to attend. And we're already past our time. Though we started late, but we're already past our time. But the last question, which is not the least, this person is asking. Well, maybe it's almost the same question, almost the same question that she just answered. But then let me just read it out. Okay, second, please. Um, oh wow, the question has disappeared. Okay, I think I've seen it. Okay, quite a number of questions about starting out and everything, but okay. This person says, I'm well versed in the area of machine learning, SQL, and even data structures, but it's difficult for me to get an internship or a job. What do I need to change or improve? Now, this person doesn't sound, why I'm reading out questions, because this person doesn't sound like a beginner, right? The person is saying, I'm well versed in the area of machine learning, SQL, data structure, even data structures, specimens were very good. But it's difficult for me to get my internship or job applications accepted. What do I need to change or improve? So now this is like going to the details. Precious, do you have an answer to this? What
I
does this
do.
person need to change or improve?
I do. All right. Okay. Obviously, the person has done a lot of projects. For the person to know data structures, right? The person has like worked on a couple of projects. Let's just believe it that way. Now, there's something missing, and that is your ability to communicate effectively. That's like the obvious mistake there. And you can be a very good talker, right? You can be the type that explains things and people will understand plam plam plam, right? Yes, you can be good with it. But you must know, like, your ability to tackle behavioral interviews is very, very crucial. Very, very crucial. Number one thing is you submit your resume, right? Your resume gets accepted by the company, and then let's say along the line during the course of the recruitment, then you get rejected and you've not been able to land one. Then the obvious thing is you are not saying what the recruiters need to hear at the right time. And no, but like there's no way you can just know what they need to hear. It is by practicing constantly, like practicing every time. Some people, it can be easy for some people to get jobs, right? But we are made differently. What some people will do in 2 minutes and achieve, some people, they might have to like spend 5, 10 hours on it without even getting it achieved, right? So I believe you need to learn the obvious mistakes and like work on them, and that's by practicing. And what are you practicing? Your behavioral interview. During behavioral interview, they want to know your culture, like working culture, your leadership spirit, your team management spirit, the way you can tackle tasks when they give you. A lot of things recruiters are curious about you. They are curious about those things. And then you need to tell them you are the capable, like you are the right person. Among all the lists they have, like they should select you. Because there are times when there's just an opening, just one opening, and then they have like 10 to 15 resume people to interview, right? So make sure you practice. And that's by they are like, oh, you can have seniors. Let's say you are trying to get into a company, you've targeted the company. Okay, I want to join Kuda as a data analyst, right? Then find somebody. Let's say you've scaled the first stage of you submitting your resume. The next stage is you finding somebody, let's say in Kuda or a related company, to train you on like the interview, how to scale the interview. And then it's not like they train you by sitting you down, babysitting you. It just a mock interview is going to help. Before I was able to land this my present job, I had close to like 22 different mock interviews. Like 22 different mock interviews. Is it like I'm dumb or or I'm not smart enough or something? No. But you just need to know what the recruiters need to hear. Like I had close to 22 different mock interviews, and it was crazy. I had people from the companies giving me mock interviews. I have this application. I can share it with us if we need it. Pramp.com. Pramp.com, when you sign up, they pair you up with people, even within Nigeria and out of Nigeria. They ask the behavioral questions, and the questions can be like, explain yourself in 2 3 minutes, and you have to explain effectively, like what you do. It must encompass everything, or explain yourself in 2 to 3 minutes. That time, that 2 to 3 minutes must contain everything you do, like every single thing you want the interviewer to hear. So how do you compress it if you don't practice? They want to know. They can even be like, when last did you, or have you worked on a project that appeared to be very stressful? Elaborate. Like, you just want to know your ability to tackle, or let's say working under pressure, your ability to manage other people well. They have curious that questions that make you be like, oh, what do I answer with? But with practice, you definitely skill it. Let me get the link. I think the organizers are requesting from it. Tramp.com, right? Okay, I got it. The way this, oh, it's just like practice makes perfect. That's what they call it. I think it should be perfection, but they say practice make perfect. Pramp. So you sign up, they pair you with somebody else, they train you. You can select either behavioral interview or coding interview or data structures. If you're trying to enter big companies, you need to learn data structures. But if you want to like still start out with Nigerian companies, then you can just learn behavioral and know how to, and make sure you solve whatever project they give you to evaluate your skills. Make sure you solve them well, and you'll be good. Behavioral, I cannot overemphasize it, please. Just practice that's what you need, and you can actually give your resume to someone else to review for you. Give it to, at times you see your thing and be like, oh my god, I'm at the top. See how packed this resume is. I have it all. But when another person is looking at it with a fresh eye, you just see them marking all your mistakes, marking them out. Okay, take this out. So have somebody review your resume, and with those two things, I believe you'll be good. All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. Wow. I really hope we had a good time here. I really hope we learned a lot. I tried as much as I can to, I tried as much as I can to write the tidbits. I mean, to write some of the things she said, to summarize it and then write it. Please, I mean, I'm recording this, and hopefully I can send it to the page, to the community, so that people can re-listen to it again, because there are lots of things that we can learn. It's not every time that you have Precious come speak with us. Not every time you have someone who is in the game and who has been in the game for a long time. You have 1 hour, 1 whole hour with her, and then she's pouring out all of this. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. So thank you so much, Precious. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. Thank you for making our time. I know it was, I mean, it was really short notice, but you still made that time for us. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thanks to the WIDS team leads. Bumi, I can see Bumi. Thank you so much. I can see, I think Dorcas is here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys, from WIDS community and those who joined us externally. Thank you so so much. Yeah, so our winner for the engagement. I mean, there are a lot of things we've posted on our Twitter page at WIDS OAU. Let's just check it. Just check us out, and then tweet like. We would wait till maybe like by 6 o'clock. The person with the highest engagement would receive a free ticket to Data Fest 2022. That's like the biggest data event in Africa. So just follow, like, share, retweet, and all of that. So, guys, thank you so much for coming around. We really hope you learned a lot. We really, really do. And I believe you did. Thank you so, so much. Yeah, if you have any comments, you can write that down, and then we see it while we listen to some music. Thank you so much for coming. matter. I'm afraid I have no purpose here. I watch the news on TV, abandon myself daily. I am afraid to let you see. When it falls, when it falls. When it falls, when it falls. Soaring to see the